Hey, what's going on everyone? Vasco here and welcome back to the channel. And remember that leaked car that I showed you a few weeks ago of the 2022 Formula 1 regulations? Well, Formula 1 just launched the official thing and it has a few tweaks from the model I showed you. So let's go to the computer and analyze it right side by side with the 2021 cars. So on my screen right now you can see the new model that Formula 1 just showed in Silverstone, and it has actually a few major differences and some things we didn't talk about last time. So firstly, for context, this car is about the same size, so about the same length and the same width as a current spec 2021 Formula 1 car. It may look smaller, but that's just your brain fooling you with the wheels and the size of the front wing, because this front wing is actually massive, and this front wing is much bigger than I was expecting, and it's actually much more complex than what I was expecting, because if you look now, there's this element in the front which is actually in front of the nose cone. So the nose cone is this part right here. You have now this section right here of wing, which wasn't present in the leaked image I showed you. So in the leaked image I show you, you can see that the front wing actually comes to a stop a bit behind the nose, and I think that this was what we saw before in the previous images that Formula 1 released and the previous models. But for some reason in this new model that they released, and if they released this, it must be because they found an actual aerodynamic advantage in putting this bit right here. I honestly cannot see what the advantage is. If any of you guys can, please let me know. I think it may have to do with bringing the front wing closer to the ground, which can seal the front wing better, which can actually be an advantage. But honestly, just looking at the car now from a non-technical standpoint, I really like what I see. I think that this car is really sleek and it's very beautiful. I hate this livery, by the way. I don't know, they were maybe trying to get a reference to the McLaren Mercedes days, but I really don't like it. But livery apart, if you make the car all black and put a beautiful livery on it, I think that this car looks very, very good. I especially like the way that the engine cover goes and then transitions to this kind of half shark fin, which then transitions very nicely to this new rear wing. And I really like the way that this curves right here. And also I think that, I don't know why, but just having these things on top of the front wheels really looks very modern, and I really like it. And something that I really like as well, and this might be because my favorite Formula 1 car is actually the Braun GP from 2009. So this car right here. And one of the things that you can see from the Braun GP is that, just like the 2022 car, it's got wheel covers. And wheel covers are something that we have been missing in modern Formula 1 for a few years. And I think that they will make a big difference, because if you think about it, in the current spec Formula 1 cars, the air can just get into the wheel rim and just cause a lot of turbulence and tire wake. And since these rules are designed to reduce tire wake, I think that just having a flat surface where the air can just pass by is much better, because the air will naturally be disturbed by the fact that the wheel is spinning, but this way it will be a lot less disturbed. It will disturb a lot less the car's aerodynamic and the aerodynamics of the cars behind. And especially when you can see right here, so just like the leaked model I showed you, I will leave that link in a card right here so you can check it out. You can see that there are no barge boards. So this area right here, and I will show you this better in another picture, is much simpler, and it's now used by the Venturi tunnels. So now let's actually switch to a few of the more interesting images that I think Formula 1 released yesterday, which were the comparison between the 2021 cars and the 2022 cars. So here you can see on the screen a difference between the 2021 McLaren on top and the 2022 spec car, and you can see a lot from this angle. So firstly and foremost, we can see that the nose cone is actually using this very wide nose that only Ferrari and Williams are actually using right now, also Haas, I think. And this is something that I don't expect to see in the 2022 cars once the teams begin showing them, because they have almost every team, and the ones that didn't was because of the tokens, use this narrow nose concept that you can see McLaren is using, where the nose actually gets thinner as we go into the tips. So you can see that here it has a certain width and here it has a much narrower width, whilst this wing has the same width along the suspension as it has on the bottom. And I think that this is something that we won't see once the real cars begin showing, because there's really a real aero benefit in order to having a slimmer nose, because a slimmer area means less drag, and a slimmer nose means that they can fit aerodynamic structures around that bigger area, because you can think that Formula One will sell you, you can have a nose like this size. And if you only have a narrow nose, then you can use the rest of this size in order to put some different aerodynamic structures. So you can see that here in the McLaren, the nose is much narrower, but we have these aero structures right here. Whilst in this car, the nose is using all of the available space and there's no room for aerodynamic structures here. So this is a thing that I think teams will actually change once we see the first 2022 cars. Now, something that I also think will change is also the size of the inlets. So you can see that the air inlets in this model are actually really big. They cover all this area. And I think that this is way too much, because you can see that in the last few years, teams have actually been pushing in order to make these tiny little inlets, because every single opening in the car generates drag, because you can picture that the car is all smooth and everything, but once it enters through this hole, it just goes and bumps into a radiator, which generates a lot of drag. And teams want this opening to be as small as possible in order to generate the least amount of drag possible. So I don't think that these kind of big holes right here, I don't think we will see them in 2022 in the actual cars, but I think that in the show model they don't look quite good because they don't look modern, but I think that this is just a representation of what teams can use. And one of the things that you can actually see in this image that is very interesting from an aerodynamic standpoint is this part right here. So you can see that in the 2022 car, just like we spoke last time, front wing will actually merge with the nose right here, which will not allow for these tip vortices to be generated. So if you don't know or haven't watched my last video, once a sharp edge gets into contact with the air, it actually generates a vortex. And you can see right here that we have 1, 2, 3, and we can have up to 5 elements right here that generate tip vortices. And vortices are actually one of the things that really disturbs the air for the car that comes behind. So here there is no potential for vortices right here in the front wing. And also you can see that these with these 4 tips right here on the rear wing, there's actually no tips right here. So it's a curved shape, which also impedes the generation of vortices. Okay, so now coming to the second image, we can see that when comparing the 2021 Alpine to the 2022 spec car, you can see that the rear wing is actually much more simplified. And you can see that better right here in this last image. Previously, you can see that the rear wing would actually have end plates, so you cannot see the wing elements. Whilst in this image, you can see right here the wing element just exposed without an end plate. So the end plate is this piece right here that closes the wing to the outside viewing, and this just seals the wing. And they have kind of an half end plate, so they allow the end plate to go to the bottom but not to the top, so generates again less vortices for the car behind. And this is actually one of the reasons that the 2022 car will be slower than the 2021 car, is because teams are actually not able to put as many aerodynamic control surfaces. So the front wing and rear wing will be about the same size, so they should be able to generate the same amount of downforce. But since these control surfaces like end plates and just the number of front wing elements and the fact that the front wing elements don't come into contact with the nose, since these things are reduced, one of the things that will happen is that the downforce will not be able to be as effective, so teams won't be able to control the airflow as well as they did in 2021. Okay, but the major aerodynamic difference that we will see between 2021 and 2022 is the removal of the barge boards, because if you look at the barge board, they aren't here anymore, and this is because the barge board is actually one area where Formula One teams have been investing way too much money. They have been investing tons of money into getting all those tiny little fragile details in order to control the airflow around the car as neatly and tightly as possible. And this is a very good engineering feat, but honestly, this is actually very complicated for teams to manage how much money they spend here. And teams also spend a lot of engineering resource into trying to understand this area of the car, when honestly, the Venturi tunnels, so the fact that the air gets compressed right here around the middle and then gets to expand right here in the diffuser, actually generates a lot more of clean downforce than the barge boards ever did. This is why I like the 2022 car so much, because honestly I think that it will generate much closer racing, and it will generate much cleaner downforce than the 2021 car. And I think that this is a very good accomplishment for Formula 1, and I think that they have managed to do so whilst keeping the car looking good with the wheel covers, which will look very good in the TV. And also you can see that the wheels actually have less rubber on them. So we have the new 18-inch wheel rims as compared to the 2021 13-inch wheel rims. So what that means is that we will have less rubber, and that will actually have an impact on the car's suspensions, but it makes the cars look a lot more sleeker and a lot more modern. And that, when combined with the wheel covers and when combined with the new front wing, which I actually don't love, I actually prefer the one on the leaked model, but I really like the rear wing, and I especially like the diffuser part and the Venturi tunnels. It will create a lot more diverse areas of development that we can explore in the next few years of videos. And I think that these regulations are a major win, and this car just looks very, very, very good in my eyes. So those are my thoughts and opinions on the brand new 2022 Formula 1 cars. I actually think that these cars look very good, and that they will bring a lot of areas of development. So instead of the barge boards, we will see the Venturi tunnel development, we will see the floor development, the front wing development, and a whole lot of new rear wing developments as well. And I'm really excited to see how teams use these regulations to their advantage and what loopholes they try to find, because it's always the best part of a new regulation set are the loopholes that teams can find. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys liked the new car, and let me know in the comments down below if you do so or if you don't, and why. And also don't forget to check my other video on the leaked 2022 car. I will leave it in the card and in the link down below in order to tell me which one do you prefer. I honestly prefer the last one with that slightly smaller front wing. I think it looked a lot better than this one, but it's only my opinion, and I'm very interested to see which one of the two teams will actually end up opting for. But that's been it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you actually next week with my opinions on the new sprint race format. So let me know what you think about that also in the comments down below, and if you want to see that video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next week with my opinions on the new sprint race format. Bye!